Good Monday morning, everyone. It's December 12th, so it is the last day of my 12 days of page turners. But right now, you guys are listening to Author Talk with Russell Fern. Our lovely author guest is Phillip today. So you guys, all weekend, literally for the past 12 days, today it will be included, I have been doing the 12 days of page turners with over 60 authors, awesome holiday promotions, so many amazing stories and inspiration on how they became writers. So if you have missed those, you definitely need to check them out today at noon. We're going to have everybody that has been a part of it come back on, talk about their promotions, do all of that. So that's going to happen today at noon. But you guys, it is a bittersweet moment. I love the 12 days. I go broke during the 12 days because everybody gets books from me. And it's just a bittersweet moment that's coming to an end today. But I'm also excited. I'm going to take my kids to go look at some Christmas lights this evening because I haven't been able to do that. So it's going to be a ton of fun. I'm so excited for it and to feature all these authors and holiday promotions. So you guys, you can go over to my personal Facebook page. They're also in the Author Talk group page. Find all of the videos that we have done in the comment section down below. You will find all of the promotions and links to how you can get all of these amazing promotions this holiday season. And if you are anything like me, you're in countdown mode for Christmas. I don't know if all of you guys are, but holy cow, you guys, yesterday was like 2 weeks till Christmas. I am last minute shopping. I don't know about any of you guys. I am Amazon in it because I have got to get on the ball. I've got to get on the ball. But what all did everybody else do this weekend? Russell, you're my traveler. What did you do this weekend?
I did no traveling. I was getting ready for we're about to head to Houston for Christmas, and we'll be there for 10 days. So we were getting ready for that and preparing for that. I did notice on our Author Talk Facebook page, ever since you've done the 12 days of Christmas, it's been blowing up because you're getting so many viewers. They're wanting to come over and watch. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, so many welcome posts. And let me tell you, finding a different welcome gift, because I am a huge believer, all of you guys know, in humor, finding a funny one that doesn't off-put people but may not get my personality, you guys, has been a challenge. But it's been so much fun, and I love meeting so many amazing authors like Phillip. Phillip, you reached out to me on LinkedIn to be on, and I'm so excited that you did. All of us are excited to get to talk to you. So what did you do this weekend?
Well, I worked the entire weekend. Today is my Saturday. I'm a 911 dispatcher. And my son, in the meantime, him and his wife had just bought a new house. So I work midnight to 8, or generally 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., and then helped him move for the last 3 days. So today's the first day where I can let my bones and my body relax a little bit and enjoy this interview.
Man, I feel like on my bucket list is to be a 911 dispatcher. I feel like I would enjoy it and it'd be a lot of fun, but I'm sure that
you talk too much.
I know, I do talk too much. But I feel like at the same time, it's kind of hard to hear those scenarios or situations that are going on at the same time. So kudos to you. Yeah, kudos to you. And man, working overnight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you would be great at it, Amy, because you're such a peppy person. And whatever drama that people were going through, you would like pick them up, make them feel good, make them feel encouraged, because that's what you do for us all the time. So, I mean, I think you would work. I think you would work.
I know, but I feel like if someone is wounded, they don't need someone peppy. It's like, hey, girl, how are you? What's happening?
No, they do. They do. That's exactly what they need.
Oh.
Yeah, they definitely do. They need someone that can calm them down and get them to focus. And sometimes just talking with them gets their mind off of whatever the emergency is until the first responders get there. So I agree, Fern. That could be a great asset to a 911 community in your area.
I agree. I mean, I know Amy always calms me down and like encourages my butt. So hey, I'm all for Amy doing that for people who are about to die.
Hey, puppies and rainbows, guys. Puppies and rainbows for sure. But Fern, what did you do this weekend?
This weekend was a little heavy. It was interesting because we ended up getting a nice client for real estate, which has, we haven't really had that many clients for real estate of late. But we're watching the end of the World Cup soccer. I know Russell hates the World Cup soccer thing, but we're watching the end of it. And it's tragic because some of my favorite people are, getting knocked out. Brazil is out. Spain is out. Portugal, oh, he's out. But Morocco is exciting because Morocco is making some history. It's the first time an African team has made it to the semifinals. So it's pretty exciting to see that. But I'm not 100% into their style of soccer. I don't
What
like
is
the way
it,
they
British
play.
style?
No, it's just a very closed style. It's like they do a lot of defense, very tight on
Yeah,
their
that's
side,
the
and then
British
just
style.
counterattacks. Well, England actually is playing pretty open compared to that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that because I like more open, fluid.
The
Everybody trying to
Brazilian
make a goal.
style.
Yeah, more of the dance of soccer.
Huh.
But I'm very excited for the historic moment for the African continent, man. It would be kind of cool. And Croatia. I think we might end up with a France versus Croatia take 2 because that was the 2018 final, and I'm thinking that's going to be this final.
Didn't you think it was ironic that Morocco faced Portugal? So you had a colony, a former colony. It was a Spanish colony, but nevertheless, versus a former colonist.
Yeah, and they faced off with Spain. They knocked out both of those countries.
Yeah, so they owed them both, and they paid them back.
They paid them back. They paid them back in soccer. They sure did. I tell you. But that was those are. So I'm looking forward to this weekend to see. Well, I'm looking forward to this week to see who makes it to the final match, and then Sunday is the final match. So we'll see.
So before we get started, I want to thank the people that are listening to us. Phillip, most people don't watch us on Monday morning when we do the show. Most people listen to us during the week and on podcast. And we're rated top 10 independent book cast in America, to our shock and joy. And we're very humbled by it that people listen to us sit around and drink coffee and talk on Monday mornings.
Yep.
And we're, Amy, where can people find us?
So you guys can find us anywhere that you can listen to a podcast: Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google, Amazon, Good Pods, all kinds of places that you can find us and listen to us and, laugh with us. It's way more fun to watch our video though, because I'm very animated and I talk a lot with my hands, and, a lot of time and effort goes into my makeup, you guys. So I'm just saying, you can go over to our Facebook group and join our Facebook group to watch our videos. Also on our YouTube channel and everywhere else. We go on LinkedIn, our personal Facebook pages as well. We are open books, and LinkedIn is how Phillip found me and reached out to me to be on our show. So honestly, you guys, reach out to me, send me a message if you guys want to be on. I will fit you into the schedule. I will move people around to make it work. I'm a very flexible person in that sense. But
so I wanted to talk before we got started with Phillip about the New York Times published the top 10 book covers of the year. Yes. And I always look forward to this, and it's interesting to see what the cutting edge book covers are this year. And so, Amy, would you show the first one?
Yes.
And these are exciting because
I have a question about this list. Like, how do they decide that these are the top covers? Like, do they have like a poll, or do they just, their editorial review board just sort of says these are the ones that appeal to us? Because it's so subjective. Oh Lordy. Ooh,
this is the first one. This is really interesting. It's a book about Putin, and it really declares what it's about.
One of my favorite villains.
That is just such a, I don't know, an angry cover.
It's angry.
It's like a bloodbath cover, right? I mean, I don't know. That's the vibe I get.
I mean, how much blood does this man have on his hands? I mean, I think it reflects that, He's like my favorite villain.
I don't know, but it's just though. Like,
I wouldn't
Well,
pick that up. I wouldn't pick that up.
Isn't Moscow called the Red Square? Maybe it's kind of a nod to that.
Yes, it is.
I don't know. I don't know.
Not Moscow, but
I will say
the Reds.
I would. Yeah, I would
ahead.
totally pick it up. I would pick it up, but I would pick it up because of his name. Because I would want to. Because I'm interested in. He fascinates me as a villain. So,
it's like a Hitler book. Yeah.
It's one of those, like, I want to know what makes these people tick. How do they think? You know, that's why I loved the interviews that Oliver Stone did with him. It's like interesting to see how he sees the world, and just to take, you know, you have to stop yourself from thinking, oh, you're an idiot, you're a villain, and just listen to, you know, without judgment, to see how they view the world. It's as an author, it's magnificent, you know.
So I hope this book gets. Oh, here's the next one.
Yeah.
Here's the next one, which it's black and white. What do you think about this?
I mean, I like black and white covers, but I'm not all about the imagery on the bottom.
Well, if you look, it says art, love, and rivalry in 1920s Paris.
Yeah, but that writing isn't a 1920 font. That's like a 70s vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has a 70s vibe. Definitely 70s.
But the picture is, don't you think the picture says, being black and white like that, it's the glamour of the 1920s Paris, etc.?
She has the
yes.
The picture has a little bit of the flavor of the 20s. But it's a very, to me, it's a confusing cover because I don't know what this book is about.
You don't like
just by glancing at it. I don't like it. I wouldn't pick it up.
Me
neither.
You think
it's a novel or a nonfiction?
I would say nonfiction by looking at it. Nonfiction.
Oh, I was gonna say it's fiction.
Really?
This is both these books I would pick up. The Putin book, because I would be interested. Oh, do we get some multi-dimensional of the Putin? Or I mean, it's like this cover is like to pull in potential readers. Isn't that the point of a cover?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it, so it did its job, right?
This one,
I mean, definitely a cover has. I mean, because that's how we decided we pick it up from the shelf, right?
Right.
Is our eye looks at the cover and goes, "Ooh, that's interesting," and we pick it up.
Right.
His name is what draws me to the Putin book. This one, I would be like, okay, interesting, but I would move on.
Agreed. I agree.
Okay. Here's another one. I don't know what this is.
Well, it's obviously my pinup, but I mean, I don't know. I'm getting gypsy vibes though, but I have no idea what it is about.
Gypsy? Really? I see like an old Western ad in a newspaper.
See, I was getting like a psychic gypsy vibe because of the eye, with the way that the format's around it, the way that her eye is and her eyebrow arch, and then you have, you know, the way like pinup, you know, like when it has psychic, usually the word gets bigger towards the end. So I was getting more like that kind of vibes, but I
get that.
Be interested. Yeah, I wouldn't be interested.
Before you go to the next one, Fern, would you discuss your theory about covers and whether you think this one applies?
I don't think this one works that well. Now, if I was gonna say, you know, with the word pinup, to me, the picture of the eye is not the best one. I would put up an actual pinup picture, like a calendar girl pinup from the 40s and 50s, because that's kind of what you're saying, you know. But I also, in this one, I just don't know, is this fiction? Is this a nonfiction about pinups? You know, a peon to prince. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this one.
I'm gonna say it's fiction because like peon, so like peasant to prince, obviously something's gonna happen, you know. So I don't know, but that's how I think of peon. I don't know. I think of them as like, you know, the like peasants, what they called peasants back in the day. I don't know. I don't even know if that is the right description of that word. I don't know.
So Philip, would you pick this up?
So for me, it's not catching my attention at all. where the Putin book definitely did, but because of the name Putin,
Right.
the other book kind of fell short, and this one absolutely fell short. There's nothing about this book that would make me pick it up to read the inside jacket to see what it's even about. I don't even care.
No.
Yeah, I agree.
No,
The last
that's
two
another
books
thing.
they're not really appealing. And you know what the problem I think is that, and what you were asking me, Russell, is that it doesn't really say what it's about, what the book is about. It doesn't give the audience a clear understanding of the genre for
Right.
this book.
Right.
Whereas
And
with
so
the
I
Putin
think
book, we knew exactly what that was about.
Yeah.
exactly what
Right.
it's about.
Right.
Okay.
So I like this.
You like this one?
Russell,
Yes.
what about this do you like? Because this is like the third bland cover I've seen. What do you like about this?
It's simple. It's attractive. It's in its simplicity. It's beautiful.
Okay. I don't know that I appreciate your take on it in a sense that it is simple, but what is the story? Do you know what the story of the book is?
I don't know, but two nurses
I feel-
smoking, that catches my eye.
I bet you it's
This-
like, like smoke breaks, like story inventing that goes on smoke breaks when you go out, with people, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the vibe I'm getting.
There's got to be a romance in this, because there's the heart,
True.
thing there, and
True.
a lot of I feel like this is probably some kind of a romance between two nurses, and the romance sort of burgeons, like Amy says, in the middle of the smoking breaks, maybe.
It says stories though, so my inkling is it's a collection of short stories.
Yes.
Conversations that happen on smoke breaks, because the word stories, I mean, it's I think Russell, inconspicuous, I think I'm using it right. He corrected me earlier, but I think that's the vibe I get, is it's like a collection of short stories of smoke break conversations between nurses, or two nurses, stress relieving, venting, those kind of things. So I wonder if this would be fiction or nonfiction, because you can really swing that either way. You change
True.
Yeah, it could be true stories.
Stuff,
Yeah.
And it looks like we have two different theories of covers going here. One is the simplistic Putin that's like quadruple. The Putin is like quadruple thick, right? And then we have this, and then on the other side we have the very complicated one of the one before with words all up and down it on the pinup.
Yeah.
It's like two different theories of what you need to do with your cover.
Yeah, for sure. We did that one. This one makes me so upset. I'm just saying, it really bothers me.
What's the title? I don't know.
I want to.
I know. I don't even know what the title of this is.
Can't tell.
You can't really tell.
Well,
but you know what I'm noticing?
It's a book about Albert Einstein. I mean, his photo, I'm pretty sure that's who it is. Maybe I just don't know. But I think the photo is the title of the book. And then, because everyone knows who that is.
I don't know who that is.
One thing I will notice, one thing that you might notice about all these covers that apparently have made it to the New York Times best covers thing, they're very artsy.
Yeah.
They're very artsy. There's no commercialness in these covers, because when we as authors, I'm sure, Philip, I was looking at your covers, they're really commercial, right? They say the genre, they kind of give a hint as to the storylines, and these are books clearly that are a lot more artsy, more literary. And it's interesting that the New York Times focuses on these kinds of covers, because it reinforces this idea that the literary writing is somehow more important, which at the end of the day, to me, it's just not, because actually you can say so much more about the human condition in our world through a commercial storyline that will entertain at the same time, and get people talking than necessarily through these literary pieces. So I don't know. To me,
I
it's
agree
just
with you,
very
Fern.
literary.
Fern, I agree with you. I feel that a lot of the covers in the commercial world are done by amazing artists that
Mhm.
tell the story of what the book is, and these ones, they don't. But I guess I'm that person that goes into an art studio and just goes, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I guess I'm in that percent that just doesn't get it sometimes.
Yeah. So, okay, hopefully you guys don't disagree with me, but I mean, even if it's not Albert Einstein, this seems like my kind of book because the orange part of it, right? Not that I like the cover. I'm not saying I like the cover, but the orange part of it reminds me of like the ink splotch, like that they do in like psychology
Psychology.
exams and stuff.
Mhm.
And I love those kind of things. And I think Greg's right when he said that I want to keep smashing myself until I am whole. So that's very much like a psychological thing, right? Like an emotional driven, all kinds of things going on in the brain. And so I feel like it's like a not like maybe a memoir of this guy, which I guess is not Albert Einstein because his hair's too mean, according to Richard. And James thinks it's Bolton. I don't really know who it is, but I think it is probably written from the perspective of like a psychologist or something like that, or kind of a feature of that with the ink splotching and stuff. So I can understand the appeal to someone like me that enjoys those kind of things, but I don't necessarily know if it's the best cover. But I mean, okay, so Putin is a hot topic, right? So that makes sense that that's, one of their best covers because that person's a hot topic. This person, if it is Bolton, is a hot topic. So that makes sense. So it's kind of like, is the trend of book covers just what's hot topics at the moment or for the year? Or is it because they're appealing? Like, I mean, this one doesn't appeal to me, but if I saw it, I'd be like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, tons of psychological stuff in here. I'm here for it. But it wouldn't I wouldn't pick it up, if that makes sense.
Yep. So. But it's an interesting discussion to have. But I want to get to Philip's books because I think we need to get to his books now.
Go for it.
Because his cover, put up his covers because his covers are really awesome.
I actually have it right. I have my newest one right
got
here.
It. Yes, and I have
Nothing good happens after midnight. I love it. My first question to you, Philip, to be honest, looking at the variety of writing that you have so many beautiful genres that you cover.
Thank you.
Very versatile author. I just wanted to ask from a perspective of a marketing perspective. A lot of authors try to stay within a single genre or maybe a couple that kind of correlate. How have you found it in terms of being able to market your books that you have, a very prolific number of genres that you covered? Have you found that to be, very useful, or has that been a challenge?
I believe that it's a challenge because I write, like you said, I've written mystery suspense, I've written horror, I've written science fiction, I have a romance novel out, many young adult books, and now my first nonfiction book. This is my 30th book, and I don't know what my readers like. I have readers, right? And then I don't know that I'm upsetting them by constantly changing genres. But for me, I don't write books for money. I write books because I need to tell a story, and I just tell the story that's in me. And if it's in a different genre, it's in a different genre, and I thankfully have publishers interested in my work to publish it for me. But it does then make it hard because I have a set of followers that may not be interested in the next genre that I write in. But I write for them. I write for my readers, but I don't write for specific readers. I write for me and for the readers who will enjoy whatever it is I've written at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting because, we know that there are readers out there that read across genres. We know that. We know that there's a set of readers who love to just, because I myself, I love mysteries. I love to read mysteries, but I don't write any. but I love to read them, and of course I love romances of all kinds, every kind available,
And
but
you
I
do
don't,
write
and
romance.
I do write them, but I write more science fantasy focused romances, right? But I think that it's really interesting as a writer that you are just, okay, whatever story flows out.
Yep.
And I'm just going to hope that, and I would imagine that it would be interesting to be able to see, okay, which of your readers kind of transfer across all of them and how many of them may be just waiting for that next particular genre, that because there's some readers that will just read one, that's just what they read,
True. True. So I do get a lot of messages and a lot of emails from readers that thankfully follow whatever I write, they read. I don't have the hugest following. I work full time. I do not write full time. But I do get
as
encouraging.
most writers do. Most
Yep,
writers have day jobs.
that's right. That's right. I don't think a lot of people understand that like I believe it's 5% of fiction writers can make a living at writing fiction, and I am not in that 5%. But if I go to McDonald's, I will supersize and not even think twice about it. I get enough royalty checks that if I want that extra large fries and a large Coke to go
You
with
go
my
for it.
meal,
You go for it, huh? You
I'm not worried.
splurge.
I can do that. But I do get messages from readers that do read whatever it is that I write. And it's funny. It's funny because this book, Nothing Good Happens After Midnight, I was not going to write until I retired from my position at 911. It was going to be more of an expose of behind the scenes at 911. But at the time, recently, my 13 years in, 14 years in, I decided that my book is really about balance, finding balance with having kids. I'm divorced. My kids are grown now, which is fantastic. But it's still about finding balance. It's about working midnight to 8 or 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., which I do most often, and then trying to have a life without worrying about when is my next nap going to come into play. And dealing with the tough phone calls. So 9 out of 10 911 calls they're bullshit. There's a car parked on the wrong side of the street. Yeah, it's not blocking your driveway. Who cares? Go to bed. Right?
Right.
But
Right.
but it's that 10th call. It's that 10th call that we take that you go, you feel it. It hits you. And it's hard not to be emotional sometimes. And it's hard when you hang up to then answer the next call because you're still impacted, you're still affected by the call that you just took. So I decided that, you know what? I'm going to write this nonfiction book, a memoir, which is ridiculous because honest to God, I'm nobody. I'm just this guy who writes books, who works at 911, who's a divorced father of 3 grown kids. Who wants to read a memoir about a guy like this? However, the first
a lot of
responder.
people. Oh, I will say, because, and I'm going to just chime in here on this moment because a lot of people have that idea that memoirs are only for like super famous people or something. And of course, those are the ones that sell the most, right? Because they're
Right.
super famous. But in reality, for the memoir readership out there, for the people who really enjoy memoirs, it's the stories of the everyday person who has had to struggle through similar things that they are struggling through that really makes a huge impact. And, I've coached several memoirists through their memoir writing, and it's really that thing of like, well, who am I to even write my story? But your story will resonate with people because you're a real human, right? And so you will connect to real humans who may be struggling with similar things. So I just wanted to throw that out there. You
Thank
are
you.
of great
Thank you.
value, and your story is of great value because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are maybe even not just 911 or police, but also social workers and healthcare workers, people who work in these crises moments with other human beings. They, I'm sure, have the same struggle that you do of like, how do you balance that? That's a lot of emotion you're processing, seeing these things. So I think your book has a lot of potential to help people who are in these professions. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Let me tell you what, Fern, that I hate. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, because memoirists think this, right? We think that only the great people who did great things and have great names, their stories matter. But your story matters. It matters to a lot of people, and it's going to benefit a lot of people who struggle with the same human issues.
Thank you.
So sorry,
Thank
didn't
you.
mean to get y'all emotional.
You did.
I
You did because
think you're the first person I've made cry. I'm so sorry.
it hits me.
You made me cry a couple of times too, Fern.
That's
but that was
how
a different
that's how I
scenarios,
feel.
right?
But you you get me. What's that line from that movie? You get me, Fern. That was that's why I wrote it. That's exactly why I wrote it. So that is, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm
and
done.
it's
I'm
really
out. Rochester, I'm out.
No, you're
Actually,
good.
you know what? It's going to sound so funny. I got to take 2 seconds and just let my dog out. So if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves, I'll be
We
right
totally
back.
get that, Philip. Go do
Yeah.
it.
All right.
Because
You're good. Take care of
usually
the
it's
dog.
Amy that has a. Go ahead, go.
I will. I will.
It's usually Amy that has a dog or a kid
Or a child
that
issue.
she has to go up and
Oh,
yell
man.
at, or I have to go light a cigar, or
Mhm.
Fern has to chase her dog out because her dog has to sit in her lap and she's the size of a giant husky.
That's true. Or you remember the
So,
day I had to kill the wasp?
Russell
that was
loves
one of
that
the.
story.
That was
Russell
an exciting one.
That's one of the best parts of the show.
he loves that. It was like it was just his kind of thing. He loves it with the wasp killer and stuff. Oh, it was great.
I was like, I'm sorry, y'all. I have to go murder this wasp. How dare it enter my domain? I mean, and oh, guys, I had to like tape my windows. I literally now have tape all on the edges of the windows because, I don't know how these things keep trying to get in here, but I'm just like, I'm going to keep you people out for your own good because otherwise I'll have to murder you.
Can I ask a question, Fern?
Yes. Go.
Because your questions stimulated this in my mind. Is when you wrote this last book, Philip, how difficult was it to reveal private secrets to make the book worthy?
Okay.
How difficult was that?
So it's one of the best questions, and I put a lot of me into all of the books that I write. So they're fiction, but there's a lot of autobiographical in each of the characters that would reflect on me. But in this book, it's specifically me. So in a lot of the book, I do talk about being a divorced father with 3 kids and working crazy hours and missing things or trying my best not to miss things. And my emotions in trying to deal with some of the difficult calls that I've taken over the years. And what I did from day one, when I started working at 911, I opened up a Google Docs page and just took notes, almost like a diary, where I recorded my feelings and I recorded some of the serious calls. And when I incorporated them into the book, it was not simple because I really exposed myself, and I don't normally do it to the extent that I did in this book. Some of it's very subtle, and you may not even pick up on it if you don't know me. But I think if you read it closely, you'll be like, "Oh, I see the progression here." And I was able to. It was therapeutic. It was therapeutic in a sense writing this book as well. And it was scary, but now that the book is out and it's got 62 reviews and a 4.9 average stars on Amazon, I'm feeling better about opening myself up the way that I did, Russell. And it wasn't simple. It wasn't simple. But I'm thankful that I was able to do it.
Do you find that because you are a 911 dispatcher and kind of piggybacking on Russell's thought there, did you have to do a lot of careful shielding and sort of, amalgamating of calls so that there wouldn't be any distinction of like people saying, "Oh my gosh, that was this call," or, did you
Yes.
find that there were some of those privacy issues, and how did you handle that aspect
So
of it?
what I did was a lot of the calls, so you figure over a 13-year period, a lot of the calls, unfortunately, are repetitive. So they're in the book that they're in the book, but it could have been anyone on any day calling for this same vehicle parked on the wrong side of the street, dog in the park without a leash. But the serious calls, I changed some of the semantics of the call so that it wouldn't impact anyone actually involved. So if it was a female and it happened during the night and it happened on this road, I had it a male and it happened during the day and it was in a different month, so that there'd be no conflict.
Mhm.
No conflict. Most of the book has a lot of humorous calls, like I had a person call, and I won't say if it's a male or female because that's not important, but they said to me, I'm on the phone, and I said, 911, what's the address of your emergency? And they said, hey man, I just did crack, but that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling because there's a gorilla down the alley.
What?
There's a gorilla down the alley. And I said, oh, okay, how do you know it's a gorilla? And they said, he's got that gorilla slick back hair and leathery fingers. So, I sent a police officer.
So clearly he was somewhat hallucinating at that point.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking, and these are my favorite calls. So, I said,
So, well, and here's a question about that one, like, because he like opens with, "I've just done drugs,"
yeah,
and
just on drugs.
it sounds like a hallucination, but like, do you still have to, as a 911 dispatcher, do you still have to like check it out, or
Oh, absolutely.
know?
Every call will get a response. I mean, and where I am in Monroe County, Rochester, New York, our responders are, I think, top notch. So we send almost a check the welfare, because at the time of the call, I do not believe that an actual gorilla potentially escaped from a zoo, because that would be a whole different response. I believe that this is a person who may be under the influence of narcotics and is hallucinating. So we send an officer just to, one, make sure that there's not a gorilla in the alley, and that two, that the person who called is okay. So we do take them serious.
Yeah. And that has got to be an interesting thing. We think about like when I think of 911, I think of like, okay, huge emergencies, like someone's bleeding or someone, just got shot, or, something humongous. And then, it's interesting to hear like the kinds of things that maybe come in that are just not like the car. I would never call 911 about a parked car in the wrong side of the street. I mean, that doesn't seem to make sense to me, but like, that's not important for the police. They have real important stuff to do, kind of thing.
I'm telling you, 9 out of 10, maybe 20 out of 21 calls are, the car parked on the wrong side, the dog without a leash in the park. It could be that they've stubbed their toe. So now they're saying, when you ask them if they're having, how's their breathing, and they're saying they're having trouble breathing, it's because they're going like this, because they stubbed their toe. Right. So now we're sending an advanced life support ambulance, an ALS ambulance, to a BLS, basic life support call, which is just an EMT. I don't mean that negatively, just an EMT. But as opposed to utilizing a paramedic on an advanced life support, an ALS ambulance, because they're having trouble breathing. They're not having trouble breathing. They're breathing funny because they stubbed their toe. But we send an advanced life support ambulance to a stubbed toe because they're not breathing normally because they stubbed their toe. It happens all night long. It's amazing. I had a guy call me once. He had left the War Memorial, our big War Memorial, after a hockey game because it went into overtime, and he wanted to know the final score. So
Wouldn't that be Google?
Yeah, Google, sure. But he thought it would be quicker to call 911 while he was walking home to see what the score was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
But I'm thankful for those calls. I'd rather take calls like that all night long than the child who's not breathing, and I've got to give CPR instructions on how to do compressions on a tiny chest.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the score of a Rochester Amherst game in a heartbeat over having to do CPR instructions to a young mother whose child's not breathing. I'll take that hands down anytime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And so you were kind of going towards the idea of like, what are some of the strategies that you use for like, being able to process some of those harder calls, as they come in, and then being able to move into like your regular world, or even just the next call. What are some of the strategies that you use for that?
That is the whole purpose of my book. What are the strategies? Where does the balance come in? And I have the people that I work with, they're probably my best friends. They are family. They are a second family. And because we all do the job, we all get it, we can lean on each other in a way that's, it's we don't necessarily talk about the calls, but we get them, so we hang out together and we seem to bond in a way that helps us to lean on each other. I'm single. I live alone. So I come home and a lot of times I'll just sit out back with my dog, or I put on music, or I write. And those are the ways that I deal with them. I know a lot of people will go home and mow their lawn, shovel their driveway, separate themselves from their family, which I don't have to work. I don't have to do, but they'll separate themselves from their family until they can get their self right in their own head before they go in and interact with everyone, so that they don't bring the job home with them. There's a lot to that. We are what we call at 911, we are the first responders. We are the ones listening to the tragedies take place before the first responders get on scene. And a lot of times you're hearing somebody get beat up. You're hearing the screaming without knowing anything that's actually taking place. You can't see it. You can't physically see it. And then when the call ends, a lot of the times you don't have any closure. You don't know what happened after. I think that impacts a lot of 911 dispatchers and telecommunicators, is the not knowing. And you just go on to the next call. You just go on to the next dispatch. So there's all this non-closure that you deal with, and you don't know how exactly to deal with it. So it's
that is interesting to know, like, that there is that element of not knowing and being okay with just not knowing how it all turned out, that you did your part. That's really cool. Well, we are so excited that you were with us, and I agree, Mr. Hill, James Hill. Yes, I think this is all of our favorite hours of the day, just being able to hang out with authors and hear their stories And I'll toss it over to Amy because I know that Russell's giving us the time glare. The time glare.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Russell. We have you nailed to a T. You just have to look at us a certain way, and we know that we're going close on time. But Phillip, this has been such a fabulous conversation, and I think it's important that you tell your story. Your story matters. Everyone's story matters, and their experiences matter, and you never know who is going to resonate with that and can relate to that. And so I'm very grateful that you took the leap and decided to write this book. And I am 30 books. That's incredible. Congratulations to you. You are an Amazon bestseller as well. So a double congratulations. I think that is amazing and very well deserved. So you guys, let's do closing comments, questions, statements before we wrap up. I'm going to go to Russell first.
Phillip, tell us the name of your last book again, and please tell us where people could find it to buy it and where they can contact you.
Right. It is Nothing Good Happens After Midnight. Confessions of a 911 Dispatcher. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardcover, anywhere online where books are sold.
I love it. I love it. Fern, what about you?
I just want to say thank you to Phillip for sharing these stories. I think it's an awesome book to share with our readers. And I just want to say to those of you who are looking for books, you need to check out the 12 Days of Christmas because there's lots of really good giveaways with those authors, and check out Phillip's books. I mean, there's a genre for everybody, my friend, with Phillip's books. I'm just going to say you can find something for you with Phillip's books. I was like, wow, I already have my gift list right there. Okay.
I love it. Well, Phillip, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and hang out and talk to us about your books and your writing experience and everything that you have done in your writing journey. So everybody, we hope that you guys have a fantastic Monday. Join me at noon for the closing of the 12 Days of Page Turners. We will have all the authors and their promotion featured one last time. And like we all say and advocate for every Monday, the best gift that you can give anyone any time of year is a book. So you guys, until next Monday.